I've had a few people ask about this C80 rig, so I'm gonna break it down for you. Everything's a mess right now. I'm a mess, my office is a mess, but we're gonna make this video anyways. All right, so this is the Canon C80. I've had this for almost a year now, upgraded from the C70, which I used for years and years. Absolutely love these cameras, especially for what I do. If you're new to this channel, I do a lot of commercial work, but I also do a lot of live event and artist touring work. So this kind of handles a lot of things within a certain threshold. Small to like medium crew or small to medium budget commercials. Anything after that is where I am renting larger cameras. I'm gonna build this out how I typically use it if I'm gonna be on sticks or handheld all day. So let's start with the cage. I have the Condor Blue C80 cage, which I've been pretty happy with so far. It's essentially a couple different pieces. We have the plate on the side here, which I find to be super helpful for the grip. You can add things here, especially if you're handheld, or not handheld, if you're on sticks and you're not like using the grip too often, you can put whatever you want on this side. I typically don't. I usually use the other side here. This is where I'll add some stuff, which you'll see in a bit. It's essentially like 4 pieces. So you have right here, this small plate here, and then you have this extension here, which is where our battery plate will go. You'll see that in a bit. Under here, we have the like base plate, and then a quick release plate for the Condor Blue riser. We'll throw this on first. This I don't always use. Sometimes I'll throw my tripod plate on the bottom right here, but if I do need to build this out in a way where I need rails, I will use this quick release plate here. It just pops on, tighten it up, super easy. Pretty solid. It does make the camera a little higher than I think it needs to be. I rarely ever use a matte box with this camera, so I don't use this too often. I like to keep this rig simple. I don't like to overcomplicate it because for the scale of shoots that I'm using this camera on, I don't need to overcomplicate it. Let's start with the top handle. This is the Condor Blue top handle with the anti-twist monitor mount. This is pretty cool because essentially you have your NATO rail right there, and then it comes with all of these little pieces. Depending on the monitor you're using, it has like that's not gonna focus on there, I'm sorry. But it has the proper notches on here depending on which monitor you're using. So that way, even if it's connected through like a single thread, it's not gonna twist. So we're gonna go top handle here, and then small HD Cine 5. This is my main on-camera monitor. Love this thing, even though it is kind of a power guzzler. Like compared to port keys and other monitors, this thing just sucks power. It's kind of annoying, but the Page OS on small HD is supreme. Like I love using all of the tools and features that are in this. I do a lot of screenshots, image overlays, and things that it's just easier to do in the small HD monitor. So we have that here. On the top of the top plate here, this right here is just soft side Velcro. I just leave that on there for when we do have sound and I'm not running sound myself. This is usually where like a timecode sync or like a Genlock box will go. It's just easy to go there because it's out of the way when I'm going handheld or using the top handle. This monitor mount is honestly great. I love this thing. You can adjust the tension of it, and with the non-twist thing right here, you can spin this you can spin this 360 degrees. I mean, without cables, obviously, but like you can really adjust it wherever you need. A lot of times I'll have it like this, which is great. So top handle, small HD. Now let's go to the battery pack. We've got the Condor Blue V-mount battery plate. This is the newer version. I don't think it's specifically for the C80. It might be, but essentially, since you have rails on the top portion here, if you can see that, it just hangs off the back, which means you don't need rails below, which I think is really nice. It's kind of like Wooden Camera has a similar setup, and it's just nice that you can run a handheld setup without this. This is why I don't always use the bottom plate, because I don't always need rails. I could just set that there, but we'll throw this on just for the sake of the video. We have power delivery in out here, power delivery in out here, both USB-C, an 8 volt and a 12 volt. Then you have your D-tap or P-tap, whatever it is, right there. Now we use the battery. This is the Core Micro, the 98 watt hour. Just the little guy right there, hangs off the back. Perfect. Now I keep my screen closed when I'm running handheld. Sometimes I'll flip it open. If I'm doing like interview days and stuff, sometimes I like to keep the screen open so that way I can run essentially different tools off of each monitor. Sometimes I'll send a clean feed to this monitor, keep my tools on the on-camera monitor. But for the most part, especially if I'm like run and gun and like moving the camera a lot during the day, I'll just keep it closed and kind of keep it a little more compact like this. Almost ready to plug stuff in. For monitoring for this camera, I like to use the DJI SDR transmission. These things are incredible if you're not pulling focus off of this. There's a lot of latency with these, but what I love about these for smaller shoots, I just need to get the feed to a client monitor, director's monitor, but we're not pulling focus. I'm pulling my own focus at that point. So these are perfect because I can connect this. I can literally pull up my phone, anyone's iPad, and they can all watch off their phone or iPad. So we have the client monitor or the director's monitor, and then if hair and makeup needs to monitor something or anyone from the client side is there, but they're off to the side, have them download the app, give them a phone, or open it up on their phone and they can monitor everything from there. So it makes it really easy. But yeah, again, if you plan to wirelessly pull focus, don't go with these. Definitely go with like the higher end transmission from DJI is great. I think there's a little latency there, but then there's, Teradek is gonna be zero latency. There are cleaner ways to set up a transmitter. I typically like to have it flush with the battery or kind of hidden with the battery, but there's really no easy way to do that with this current setup. So I just throw this off to the side and I have it high enough on this bar. So if I am running this handheld, it's not in my way. My hand's usually about here and I can, zoom, pull focus, whatever, without it really getting in the way. Sometimes, it's kind of nice to have that extra kind of support there, so not a huge deal. We have our monitor, our top handle, our V-mount battery. Now let's plug everything in. Now this is where one of the biggest downsides, in my opinion, to the C80 and the C70 is there is no real way to like really tidy this up when you're building it out. I have yet to really refine this setup to like hide all my cables. So you're gonna see as I start building it, it's gonna start getting a little messy, but I think I've gotten it down to be a little bit better than it has been in the past. So let's start. We're gonna power the transmission. This is just a USB-C cable with a right angle. Honestly, this came from a totally different piece of gear that I had and it just was kind of perfect. I'm gonna throw it up here. That's gonna plug on the side there. And then we're going to plug it into the power there. These small rig arms aren't the best, but they do the job and they're small. So now that's gonna power our transmission. I wanna run everything off of this battery. Occasionally, I'll not plug the battery into the camera and I'll just run the Canon batteries down here. Since I have access to it, sometimes I won't even bother with plugging the camera like into this battery because it's just another cable. Kind of annoying sometimes. All right, we got transmission powered. Now let's power the small HD monitor. This just uses a 2-prong LEMO adapter. That's gonna plug right here. And then I'm gonna run this. This is like probably the cleanest cable management of this entire rig is this cable right here. I'm able to wedge it like in between right here. And then I run it down through the back and under. And then it comes out to the other side here. And plugs right in there. So that's like the best cable management of this whole rig. Is that looks pretty clean, but don't worry, I'm gonna add more cables and it's gonna start getting ugly. So now camera's powered on, small HD is powered on, transmission is powered on. What I typically do for this rig is small HD goes into the SDI out, which at first I was a little thrown off at the placement of the SDI out on this camera. It's at the top here, but the more I shoot on it and the more I like rig it out, the more I actually enjoy the placement of it. So we're gonna go this BNC cable. This is where it gets a little messy. It's not too bad, but a little bit of cablage showing. It's not terrible. I can live with that. Now we're going to plug in the transmission and I'm gonna run transmission through HDMI. So I have this little HDMI cable. I have smaller ones, but I couldn't find it for this video, so it's gonna be a little bit longer than it needs to be. Luckily, DJI transmission has both SDI and HDMI, which is super helpful. So we're gonna go HDMI in here, HDMI out from the camera. And there you go. Another cable. This is where it kind of really starts to get messy. If you look at it like from here, it's not the best. I've tried running cables every which way. I've tried cable managing every which way. You just kind of have to run with it. Cables don't get in the way when you're shooting. That's kind of the biggest thing. So it doesn't have to be pretty. Gets the job done. All right, next up, the last thing for this rig. This is how we power the camera. This is just a D-tap to 12 volt, 8 volt, whatever it is, with a regulator. This essentially keeps the power constant so that it reduces the risk of frying your camera with varying like power delivery. So this, again, have not figured out a good way to really clean it up. Wooden camera, honestly, they have a battery plate that has a cable that runs straight out of it. All right, we have that. That's gonna plug in. The best way I've found to like somewhat keep everything clean is to like wrap cables around things to make it a little bit tighter, I guess. I don't know. You guys are gonna laugh at what I do here. Basically, I plug in from this side, right here, wrap it around the top here, goes under, and now look at how terrible the back is. Back's not the best, but it's fine. And now everything is powered off of this V-mount battery. And there it is, there's the rig. So this is perfect, again, for when I'm on sticks, when I'm handheld. I've been using this inflatable sack quite a bit. So it's kind of perfect for this rig. Use this a ton, it's just easy because I can shoot, do whatever I need, make adjustments, and have like a stable handheld shot. But yeah, that is how I rig up my C80. So if you all have recommendations on how I can clean this up or things that you've tried in the past that work great, let me know in the comments because I would love to clean this up just a little bit. I think I've gotten it down pretty well for what I need to add to it. Again, I try not to overload this thing. I don't need a matte box unless I'm throwing like pro mist filters on it, but even then I'll typically just use a circular filter that goes on the front of a lens. Internal ND, so I don't need ND filters on the front of this, so that really gets rid of a lot of the extra weight and more cabling. So yeah, that is the C80 rig and how I currently have it kind of set up. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to subscribe for more. I'll see you all in the next one. Later.